Show with quite possibly the biggest controversy in the world right now. An earth-shattering revelation. Justin Fields thinks there's not a whole lot to do in Green Bay. Can we please, Wisconsin, stop taking every perceived slight completely to heart? In Wisconsin right now, bigger scandal. Justin Fields saying there's not a whole lot to do in Green Bay, or the fact that former President Bill Clinton apparently likes to sleep with young girls. Yes, we will get to the Jeffrey Epstein. It's not the client list, but it is 950 pages of a deposition in a civil lawsuit filed by Epstein victim Virginia Giuffre, who was trafficked by the billionaire financier and is telling all, apparently. She was known as Virginia Roberts then. She was promised the world, and all she needed to do was to have sex with rich and powerful men, some of the richest and most powerful in the entire world, including a member of the British royal family, Prince Andrew. But here in Wisconsin, while people do care about that, they care a whole lot more about the quarterback of the Chicago Bears making a little joke.
Their home field. I know their fans going to be loud because there's not much to do in Green Bay except watch football. But it's going to be a great environment for us to play in, and hopefully have a great game and get the dub on Sunday.
Do you know what the most offensive thing about that was? All of the fake laughter coming from the Chicago press corps. That sounded like the absolute worst laugh track to a 1980s sitcom I've ever heard. Listen to this thing again.
I know their home field. I know their fans going to be loud because there's not much to do in Green Bay except watch football. But
honestly, producer Dave, you sound more convincing when you're laughing at my terrible jokes. Oh, Dan, oh, what witty repartee. Now, on the flip side of this, so Fields thinks that there's not a whole lot to do in Green Bay, right? He says the fans are going to be loud because there's not much to do in Green Bay besides watch football. Well, on the flip side of this, Bears fans are going to be quiet because there's not much to do in Chicago except get murdered. If you would like to join the Dan O'Donnell Show, 414-799-1130 is our adventknows.com talk and text line. You can reach me toll-free, 1-800-838-9476. Email me, dod@iheartmedia.com, at Dan O'Donnell Show on Twitter, facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show, youtube.com/Dan O'Donnell Show as well. We are streaming live via the Dano Cam today. We will hear from Derek Van Orden, Wisconsin congressman, live from the southern border. Apparently, pretty much every Republican congressman is down at the southern border to take pictures. No. They're trying to get something done. Unfortunately, this is not an issue that requires or possibly has a legislative solution. This is an enforcement solution, and Republicans simply don't have the power to force the Biden administration to actually enforce the law. How bad has the problem gotten? I think sometimes when you're dealing with large numbers, the human brain can't comprehend them. Like, for example, when you're talking about space physics, when you're talking about the sheer size of the universe, when you're talking about just the absolutely insane distances that we're talking about, even between Earth and our nearest planet, Mars, or say our solar system and the nearest solar system, when you're talking about light years, the distance light travels in a year, it is unfathomably large. Just like when you're dealing with even smaller numbers, like the millions of people who have come into this country illegally, it helps to put those numbers into perspective. So that's just what we're going to do. Coming up in the 10 o'clock hour. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss this, because I promise you, I'm going to get you to think about the illegal immigration crisis in a totally different way. When you compare the number of people who are streaming across our southern border with, say, populations of different countries. That's coming up. But late yesterday, 950 pages of that deposition that came from a defamation lawsuit filed by Giuffre against Ghislaine Maxwell, one of Jeffrey Epstein's former, well, is basically his right-hand woman who is currently serving a 20-year prison sentence. And you know why she's still alive, right? You know why she didn't commit suicide? Wink, wink. She kept her mouth shut. She did not say a single thing. Meanwhile, it was believed that Jeffrey was going to talk to anyone and everyone. That's why in 2019, he killed himself. Wink, wink. Does anyone actually believe that, incidentally? I know 4 years ago, the meme Epstein didn't kill himself was all over the internet. And now what I've loved is a couple of days ago, January 1st, an early version of Mickey Mouse from Steamboat Willie allegedly entered the public domain. I think the actual legality of that is a little bit thornier. After 95 years, copyright expires. And say a song. This is why you can use classical. Did you ever wonder when you were a little kid why Bugs Bunny cartoons always used classical music? Because they could, because that music was in the public domain. They couldn't use contemporary songs because they'd have to pay royalties. They'd have to get permission to do so. Now, the idea that Jeffrey, to finish that thought. So Mickey Mouse, it's a popular conservative meme on Twitter over the past couple of days. They've got the scene of Steamboat Willie where Mickey is piloting the boat, and they've got a speech bubble, and he's saying all sorts of based things like Epstein didn't kill himself, the great replacement theory isn't a theory, all sorts of stuff. The idea, I think, that you have not just wealthy and powerful men. We're not talking about the CEO of some middling, I don't want to call it a middling Fortune 500 company, but you get the drift. Number 277 on the Fortune 500. We're talking about former President Bill Clinton. We're talking about Bill Gates, one of the 5 richest people in the entire world. We're talking about current President Donald Trump. Although, according to the deposition, the only real mention that he had, and the attorney for Epstein's victims, Brad Edwards, said years ago, he said, yeah, Donald Trump was pretty much the only guy who was named in any of these documents who said, yeah, I'll talk with you. What do you need to know? I'll spill the beans on everybody. I got nothing to hide. The only mention in this new trove of documents was that they were having engine trouble on the Lolita Express, which was Epstein's private plane, and they needed to set down in Atlantic City. And Epstein apparently said to one of the girls, Johanna Schoberg, hey, we should call up Donald Trump. No word on whether that call actually happened. And then the follow-up question was, did you ever give a massage to Donald Trump? The answer from Schoberg, no. Conversely, Bill Clinton is photographed. This was a picture that was released in 2020, getting a massage from Schoberg. Clinton has always maintained that he was on the Lolita Express just 4 times. But subsequently released flight records show that was a total lie. He was actually on the plane 26 times. Back in the 1990s, when Clinton was president, Epstein visited the White House 17 different times. Almost every one of those visits to the White House was to the West Wing, meaning he was almost certainly meeting with Clinton himself. Not a whole lot of what was released yesterday, and I am told we're going to get more documents released today, is particularly new. I think the biggest revelation that was released yesterday, folks, I'm not trying to minimize this in any way, but this wasn't anywhere near a complete client list. All of the people who were on the Lolita Express, all the people who went to Pedo Island, and all the people who were engaging in sexual activities with trafficked teenage girls. But a lot of this kind of tracks, if you've been following the Epstein story, and I will caution, there is a whole lot of just wild conspiracy theories about Epstein. I'm not saying that Epstein or the fact that he very likely was blackmailing wealthy and powerful and famous people by getting them into compromising situations with underage girls. This clearly was happening. There was clearly sex trafficking, but we have firsthand testimony from teenage girls, women now, who were teenage girls who were being trafficked. What Epstein was doing was saying, look, you come work for me, and I'll put you in touch with all of the right people. You'll get a job in government. You'll get a job in high finance. You'll get whatever you want. Well, once they were under his employ, they were essentially being trafficked. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It's real. But what you get with conspiracy theories, with the Alex Joneses of the world, is they'll take a story that is true and then extrapolate wild theories like blood rituals, sacrificing children, all of this stuff that discredits that which we know, that which can be documented, that which is factual. And what we know is that Epstein traveled in about the most powerful, well-connected circles that you can possibly travel in. But as for the documents released yesterday, there wasn't a whole lot that we didn't already know. And yes, I did spend much of last night reading up about Jeffrey Epstein and his sordid past, and my goodness, was it sordid. But the only real new revelation was a quote from Schoberg attributed to Jeffrey Epstein. They were talking about Clinton. And Epstein told Schoberg, quote, he said one time that Clinton likes them young, referring to girls. She was asked during this deposition whether Epstein talked about Bill Clinton. He likes them young, talking about girls. This isn't especially surprising. Clinton was in his 50s and, of course, infamously had an affair with a 24-year-old intern named Monica Lewinsky. But what those hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages sort of reveal was it reiterated what we kind of knew about how Epstein and his crowd operated. And it is kind of remarkable. All of the people who have at one point, and most of these people were not mentioned in this particular deposition. Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Bill Richardson, former governor of New Mexico. He was Secretary of Transportation, I believe, under Obama. George Mitchell, John Glenn, if you can believe that, the astronaut, Prince Andrew, Steven Pinker, an academic, Lawrence Summers, former Treasury Secretary, president of Harvard, Alan Dershowitz, who has been very vocal about this. He was on Fox News yesterday, the attorney, very famous attorney. He was Jeffrey Epstein's personal attorney, and he's out there saying, yes, of course, I flew on his private plane. I was his attorney. And Dershowitz has maintained from the very beginning that he's got an alibi, that he can prove that he was nowhere near, he'd never been to Pedophile Island. He had never done any of this stuff. To me, what's always been the most interesting was Harvey Weinstein, Woody Allen, and Kevin Spacey. Chris Tucker also mentioned as being part of this. When you think of those three names from Hollywood, what immediately jumps off the page? Me Too movement, sexual deviance with girls, or in Spacey's case, boys, young men. Woody Allen, especially like Bill Clinton, liked him young. You also have Leslie Wexner, Bill Gates, Chelsea Handler, George Stephanopoulos, who of course was in Clinton's circle, Katie Couric, Charlie Rose, and many, many more. As the Wall Street Journal reported last year, the circle of people who associated with Jeffrey Epstein years after he was a convicted sex offender, and remember, he was convicted in 2008 and got a remarkably lenient plea deal, suggesting to many that he was either bribing or blackmailing people to get himself out of deeper trouble. The circle of people was far wider, according to a trove of documents that include his schedules. William Burns, director of the CIA, had 3 meetings with Epstein in 2014 when he was Deputy Secretary of State. First met in Washington, and then Burns visited Epstein's townhouse in Manhattan. Catherine Rumler, a White House counsel under President Barack Obama, had dozens of meetings with Epstein in the years after her White House service and before she became a top lawyer at Goldman Sachs Group in 2020. He also planned for her to join a 2015 trip to Paris and a 2017 visit to Epstein's private island in the Caribbean. Leon Botstein, the president of Bard College, invited Epstein, who brought a group of young female guests to the campus. Noam Chomsky, a professor, author, political activist, was scheduled to fly with Epstein to have dinner at Epstein's Manhattan townhouse in 2015. Chomsky is perhaps one of the most famous left-wing academics in the United States. The sheer volume of powerful, important people that this guy was running with, I think, in many respects, think about when Epstein didn't kill himself, right? When he, quote unquote, committed suicide. This was 2019, right? What immediately happened afterwards? Well, yes, the Hillary memes. Just a couple of months afterwards, I believe it was November of 2019, the dates all run together on me. COVID-19 happened, right? Immediately after that, you had the 2020 presidential election. What did those two events sort of have in common? They reiterated the idea that you can't really trust those in charge, right? I think in many respects, the Epstein suicide, quote unquote, wink, wink, solidified this idea in a whole lot of people's minds that you can't trust your quote unquote betters. I mean, we always sort of knew that, right? What was it in the 1960s? Don't trust anyone over 30. But when the Epstein story broke, there was in a lot of people's minds this, I think, light bulb that went off that said, okay, not only are these people not trustworthy, but they are doing things that the rest of us would be tossed in prison for the rest of our lives for. And how many times have we seen that over the past couple? Look at the Hillary Clinton documents. Look at the emails, I should say. At the exact same time that Hillary Clinton was skating, where the director of the FBI, James Comey, was saying, well, no reasonable prosecutor would bring this case. There was a low-level, I believe it was a Navy submarine sailor who had photographed some documents. He was sent to prison. Exact same timeline. Exact same time this was going on. So what Epstein, and the fact that there hasn't been a single even criminal investigation that anyone knows of into any wrong. I mean, does it not appear, just based on the sheer volume of, based on the circumstantial evidence? So Clinton is saying, well, I've only been on the plane 4 times. Turns out he's on 16 times. Well, Jeffrey Epstein says Bill likes him young. You don't suppose there's anything more? We know Bill Clinton was hound dogging what was it? The famous quote from Jimmy Carville, you shake a dollar bill in a trailer park. Well, Bill Clinton shakes his you-know-what in a trailer park, and you never know what crawls out of the woodwork. I mean, we've known this about Clinton, so of course it just kind of tracks that this guy is close with Jeffrey Epstein. But because he's so powerful, he's protected. Now, right after the Epstein, quote unquote, wink, wink, suicide, we had even more reason to distrust the elites. They were flat out lying about the origins of COVID. Why? To protect Dr. Anthony Fauci and everybody else in the National Institutes of Health, everybody else who was involved in funneling money to the Chinese to get around a ban on gain-of-function research in the United States. And the disease gets out and infects the entire world. We were told to even suggest that was xenophobic and racist. Well, it's pretty much the most obvious explanation for COVID, right? Scientists working with coronaviruses accidentally infect themselves, and from there the disease spreads all over the world. We were told the vaccines would stop the spread of the disease. Oh, whoops, they didn't. They were never actually tested to do so. Masks will stop that. Nope. Every study that had ever been done about masks said it's not going to stop the spread of a respiratory disease. 2020 presidential election. They literally change every rule just in the swing states to try to get as many absentee ballots into the wild, into the hands of people as humanly possible. They're coming in at all hours to even suggest that, you know what, there might have been something going on there. Couldn't do it. You couldn't question the powerful. This, if you really think about it, was the reason for Trump's ascendancy in the first place. Even though Trump is about as rich and powerful as it gets, and was when he started running for president in 2015, Trump sort of represented this brick that was thrown through the penthouse window of the elites, and was a way to say, no, we the people are in charge here. You have to face accountability. I've said for the better part of 8 years now, what was the mantra? I think even more than build the wall or make America great again that got Trump elected: drain the swamp. In fact, you could make a case that Trump's election was won when Hillary Clinton was acquitted, because the entire world, she doesn't face consequences because she's Hillary Clinton? And you've seen that for years and years and years with the Epstein story. I'll tell you what, we're going to step aside for a break. Against my better judgment, we're going to open up the phone lines on this, take some texts, take some calls. Dave, you're going to earn your keep today. 414-799-1130.
Classical conservatism, contemporary style.
The Dan O'Donnell Show. We'll be right back.
We're going abroad for the first time in years, to Spain.
But we don't speak Spanish.
So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks. Babbel's conversational method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish.
Estoy muy emocionado para ir a España contigo.
Aw, he just said, I'm very excited to go to Spain with you. Vamos a tener mucha diversión.
And that means we're going to have so much fun.
Sí. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Jay Weber here. If you're someone who is experiencing shoulder, hip, or knee pain and a total joint replacement may be in your future, think Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Find them at orthowisconsin.com. At Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, their physicians are committed to providing the highest quality joint care and specialize in same-day total joint replacements at their own ambulatory surgery center in Pewaukee. You can find them at orthowisconsin.com. orthowisconsin.com. Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference.
There's no better time than the new year to help protect your identity and finances. LifeLock detects potential threats to your identity that you may miss on your own. If you do become a victim, a U.S.-based LifeLock restoration specialist will work to fix it. LifeLock is the New Year's resolution that's easy to keep. Save 25% off your first year. Call 1-800-LifeLock or go to lifelock.com. Promo code CLAY to save 25%. That's lifelock.com, promo code CLAY.
Looking for top-notch personal protection? The Smith & Wesson Equalizer is here to level the playing field. Easy to rack slide, easy to control ergonomic grip. It's designed for you. With a 10, 13, and 15-round magazine included, size up for better control or size down for easier concealment. Don't miss out on the opportunity to upgrade your safety. Visit your local dealer now. To learn more about the Equalizer, visit smith-wesson.com. Smith & Wesson, empowering Americans. All capacity sizes may not be available in your jurisdiction. Be sure to check your local laws and regulations.
Abby with Abby Windows here. I installed windows for a lady who was going to go with a cheaper bid than mine and didn't quite understand why I would only install her windows the right way. It was a 1990s home with metal-clad wood windows. She was very grateful she went with us when we found all the windows and knee walls were rotted so badly the 2x6s were crumbling in my hands. She never would have known if she would have let the other guy pocket fit those windows. If you want a customized install for your home and you want it done the right way, give Abby Windows a call today. And if somebody asks you if you know a guy in the business, you can say no, but I know a girl.
There used to be a day when the national news media prided itself on getting the story right. Those days are gone. Now, it's slanted stories, unnamed sources, and fake news. The goal no longer is to inform you. The goal is to indoctrinate you. Here at News Talk 1130 WISN, our show hosts will give you straightforward information and honest analysis. That is our commitment, and that is our daily mission. News Talk 1130 WISN. Real life, real news, real good.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. You might remember 2019, right after Epstein didn't kill himself. Project Veritas, then run by James O'Keefe, put out video that was obtained from ABC's, I believe it was Good Morning America. Anchor Amy Robach was complaining. She was caught on a hot mic. She was sitting on set and talking to someone off camera, saying that 3 years earlier, she had all of the Epstein story pinned down. And her bosses at ABC News wouldn't allow her to go with the story. This is what she said. It runs about 1 minute and 18 seconds. And this was 2019, I should say. She's talking about 3 years earlier. What year was that? All you math majors. 2016. What happened to be going on in 2016? Not just a presidential election, Dave. A presidential election involving the wife of the guy who was named more than any other person in the Epstein documents, the Virginia Giuffre testimony that was unsealed yesterday. And this is what Robach had to say.
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air.
That's Virginia Giuffre. She's gotten married. She was Virginia Roberts.
First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in it because of the planes. She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton. We had everything. I tried for 3 years to get it on, to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. I'm so pissed right now. Like, every day I get more and more pissed because I'm just like, oh my God, what we had was unreal. Other women backing it up. Hey, yep. Brad Edwards, the attorney, 3 years ago saying, there will come a day when we will realize Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. I had it all 3 years ago.
Why wasn't she allowed to do it? Why wasn't she allowed to go with that story? Why do you think? In 2016, one of the most prolific pedophiles in American history being associated with the future first gentleman, former president of the United States, would be a bit of an issue, wouldn't it? She wasn't allowed to go with that story. Who's Jeffrey Epstein? Well, who's Bill Clinton? Virginia Roberts was saying the exact same thing in 2016 that she was saying in 2019, 2020, 2021. Who's Prince Andrew? Clearly, you know. Amy Robach did. She wasn't allowed to do anything. When we come back, we will go live to the southern border and talk with Wisconsin Congressman Derek Van Orden. You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show. Hey, Dan O'Donnell here for the Lynch family of dealerships. I've been a big proponent of Lynch for a while now. Here's why. They're literally a family dealership and have been since 1957. That's increasingly rare in the dealership world today, but the Lynch family employs 500 plus people who are all dedicated to taking care of you. They've got a wide selection of new and used vehicles, extended service department hours for early drop-offs and late pickups, and most importantly, they're proud supporters of our local communities and schools. They also stand behind what they sell with Lynch-certified used vehicles, including a 168-point inspection to determine eligibility, an unparalleled 90-day or 3,000-mile certified guarantee, and a 10-day 500-mile exchange policy. And when you pair this with the Lynch Protected program, they cover your paint, your windshield, and your tires, it's easy to see why you should consider Lynch. Check them out today at shoplynch.com.
Are you tired of exposing your retirement to stock market risk? How would you like the potential to participate in credited interest from market index returns and limit the downside? Join Joe Brown for the Safe Money and Income Radio Show on Sunday at 7:30 a.m. and 8 p.m.
I'm Brett Ochtenhagen, owner of Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services and host of the Designer Yard Show. Another landscaping season is in the books, and what a great season it was. I started Seasonal Services 30 years ago, and I enjoy every day. Yes, some days are tough, but we've persevered because of many special people. The Christmas season is a great time to share our appreciation of others. So let me start by thanking our suppliers, clients, and the many builders who trust us with their valued clients. And to those of you who love gardening and nature as much as we do, thanks for listening to the Designer Yard Show every Saturday. Finally, thanks to the entire Seasonal Services team. You arrive early and you go home late. You give your all every day on the hottest days of summer and the coldest days of winter. You appreciate that hard work is rewarding, and for that I give you my admiration and thanks. So on behalf of all of us at Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services, best wishes for 2024.
Join News Talk 1130 this Saturday at 4 p.m. for The Word on Medicine, the show that brings you the latest medical innovations and discoveries by physicians and scientists at the Medical College of Wisconsin. That's Saturday afternoon at 4 on News Talk 1130, WISN.
Hi, fellow Wisconsin voters. This is Kelly Clark. 1 year stands between us and the 2024 general election. The results have the potential to either steer our state and our country in the direction of improvement or push us further along the concerning path we are currently on. I am very worried about the fairness and security of our elections if Megan Wolf remains in charge of them. It's Ms. Wolf that allowed for the use of unauthorized illegal drop boxes and ballot harvesting. She permitted the Zuckerbucks influence money, and there's so much more. It's time for decisive action. Assembly Speaker Robin Vos must act on Assembly Resolution 18 relating to the impeachment of Megan Wolf or face the potential consequence of a recall or a primary challenger. It's crucial that AR 18 is brought to the floor for a vote. Call Assembly Speaker Robin Vos today at 608-237-9163 and inform him that any actions taken to protect Ms. Wolf will not be tolerated. Again, the number is 608-237-9163. The power of our republic lies in accountability. Take a stand today.
Paid for by Wisconsin Election Committee Incorporated.
As an independent tire and service center, our loyalty is to you, not the manufacturer.
It's the tire manufacturer's goal to design a superior tire.
But it's our job to ensure the right tires are properly installed on your vehicle.
A service our family has been independently providing for the past 2 through generations. So make no mistake about it, our loyalty is to you.
And the dozens of tire brands we carry, like Goodyear, General, and Pirelli,
Or Continental, Kelly, and Dunlop, well, that's for you too.
because we won't know what type of tire you need until you get here.
So instead, we carry them all.
Because we install them all.
And every tire we install automatically comes with free flat tire repair.
Which means you're 100% covered.
No questions asked.
I guess you could call it family tradition.
Be safe, buckle up, and hey.
Always make sure you've got good tread on your tires. I'm Brett Matchke with Richlands. You're
Due for service.
Richlands Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richlands.
There's no better time than the new year to help protect your identity and finances. LifeLock detects potential threats to your identity that you may miss on your own. If you do become a victim, a U.S.-based LifeLock restoration specialist will work to fix it. LifeLock is the New Year's resolution that's easy to keep. Save 25% off your first year. Call 1-800-LifeLock or go to lifelock.com. Promo code CLAY to save 25%. That's lifelock.com. Promo code CLAY.
Hi, this is Scott Trout of Cordell & Cordell. There are a lot of great dads out there. Sometimes those dads get divorced. For more than 30 years, we have represented men in divorce, confronting the pitfalls that could devastate your finances or harm your family relationships. While every situation is different, our goal is to get the best outcome for you and your kids. Visit CordellCordell.com to take the first step.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Milwaukee attorneys. 111 East Kilbourne Avenue, Suite 1650, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53202.
The free iHeartRadio app has over 100 commercial-free stations waiting for you to explore right now, like 70s Rock Ride, Pink Floyd, Eagles, Van Halen, Tom Petty, Zeppelin, and more. Try something new for 2024. Just open the free iHeartRadio app, search 70s Rock Ride, and listen now. iHeartRadio. Free never sounded so good.
Conservative thought, not just talk. You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show.
Joining us live now from America's southern border, technically San Antonio, but fresh off a visit to Eagle Pass, Texas, Wisconsin Congressman Derek Van Orden. Sir, welcome to the Dan O'Donnell Show.
Well, thank you. It's great to be back with you. And I am in San Antonio now. There's no airport that leaves out Eagle Pass. It's about a 2-hour ride. We did that yesterday, very early in the morning, and toured a holding facility, processing facility, spoke to sheriffs, other local law enforcement folks, elected officials, landowners, obviously the Border Patrol. And then we toured the Eagle Pass section right on the border. And the only word I have to describe this is, well, there's more than one. It's shocking, it's infuriating, and it's not necessary. It's unbelievable what is taking place. The system from the beginning to the end is just, it's broken down.
How so?
Well, we know that the border can be closed immediately.
Yeah.
We know that because we showed up there yesterday. You saw those pictures, those bridges with the thousands and thousands of people underneath them?
Yeah.
That's where we were yesterday. There was about 5 people. And there's no trash, zero litter on the ground.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It reminded me when I was a young sailor and an admiral was coming, you'd go clean like the back 40 with a toothbrush. And it was shocking. We're like, do you guys really think we're that stupid?
Right.
We went to a processing facility where last week there was 6,000 people in there. There was probably 30 in that facility. So the books are being cooked around here, and we know absolutely there's 3 kind of ways I've been this out. There's policy, national security, and humanitarian things that need to change. The policy thing is talking to the Border Patrol folks. If they reinstituted Remain in Mexico, 70% of the traffic would stop. Immediately.
Instantly.
We also learned when they shut down the railroad dam, 5 days after the shutdown, they went from over 1,500 people a day coming through Eagle Pass to less than 200. And it's not people riding on the train. It's the fact that when you shut down that rail traffic, it costs Mexico $50 million a day. So the Mexican government can shut this down immediately. The Biden administration can shut down 70% of it immediately, and they're simply not doing that. And from the national security perspective, there's been over 7 million, probably closer to 10 million illegal encounters in the United States or on the border since Biden has taken office. Over 90% of those, we'll just use the 7 million number, over 90% of those people have already been released into the country.
Yeah.
Which means that's like 6.3 million people have been released into the country. The population of the entire state of Wisconsin is 5.5 million.
Yeah.
So they've doubled the entire population of the state in less than 3 years. And for me, it was just amazing. And the other thing that I learned with national security wise was shocking is the vetting process is a complete joke. You can literally walk in, because I walked through the colonel that's in charge of this processing facility. I walked him through step by step. I said, okay, if I show up here, I have no identification. I tell you my name is Bob Smith. What do? So we ask you a few more questions. We run you through these databases. And if nothing comes up, your name is now Bob Smith. Then Bob Smith gets to pick his birthday and his country of origin. And they give them a little barcoded tab which has your name, Bob Smith, whether or not that's your real name or not. Your birthday that you told them doesn't have to be true, and your country of origin, again, does not have to be true. They use that barcode to give you a immigrant number, and then they use that to get a temporary work ID. It's called an employment authorization number. That's how they get to work here. So we don't even know the people that have been processed if they're really the people they said they were, because they just let you come in anyway. It's shocking. And from the humanitarian perspective, Biden has lost. I want everybody, if everybody listening takes away one thing from this interview, the Biden administration has lost over 100,000 unaccompanied minors on his watch. So I'll say it again. The Biden administration has lost over 100,000 unaccompanied minors on its watch. They don't know where 100,000 kids are that came into the country. They just disappeared. And you remember when AOC was sitting outside the fence crying in a white pantsuit, and there's an open gate like 10 feet from her, by the way, people forgot that. She was crying about it, and it's terrible. It's tragic for these children. But the Biden administration has lost over 100,000 children to date, and it's shocking to me that
I
people
guess
are not up in arms.
The operative question is how. I mean, just the sheer volume of them.
No, here's how. Because they come in here. If you're under the age of 14, they can't do any biometrics testing. They're running through a database. So you can just come in. Some of these kids are so little they don't even know who they are or where they're actually from. And then NGOs say, we will take X amount of kids. So non-governmental organizations, and then the Biden administration hands them over to these civilian groups, and they just disappear. There's no tracking these children, like zero. So to me, I'm a grandfather. We're going to have our 11th grandchild, and I cannot imagine having my granddaughter or grandson come up through the border and then check in with the United States government and then just be taken away by somebody that shows up, and they disappear. It's absolutely amazingly shocking, and it is a travesty that this is taking place. And here's the last thing from this humanitarian side, because it's both a humanitarian and a national security issue. The vetting process here is an absolute joke. And when I talked about that, just coming in, you can tell somebody your name, where you're from, and your birthday. If you stick to your story, that's it. They don't know how many of these people have done this. And what it does from the national security side, we have people, potentially millions of people in the United States, that we have no idea who they are or why they actually came here. From the humanitarian side, there's only a certain amount of resources available to process people that are actually fleeing from tyranny. And when you have people coming up who are economic immigrants, they want to make a better life for their family. I understand that. It's still unlawful, but I understand it. But you have people that are fleeing tyranny that are going to get murdered in their home country. Those people need priority. But here's the broken policy part. When someone walks across the Border Patrol asks them a very specific question. Are you afraid to go back to your country? And if they say yes, which they do, because they get coached by NGOs and their fellow travelers to say yes, that becomes what they call credible fear. And if you have credible fear of returning to your country, you're automatically stuck into the process to make sure, to see if you are eligible for refugee status. So it's from the beginning, meaning we watched these people yesterday. There's the Speaker of the House, 60 members of Congress, hundreds and hundreds of police officers and military folks walk straight across the river and say, Venezuela, Venezuela. And then they walked right through the concertina wire, probably 50 feet away from us, and just stood there to get detained by the police because they know there's zero ramifications. Nothing is going to happen to these folks. And that was one of the biggest complaints by the Border Patrol. They want to be able to keep these people out or deport them immediately, but the systems that the Biden administration put in place or removed, more importantly, doesn't allow them to do so.
I guess the operative question, sir, is why? Why, in your opinion, is the Biden administration allowing massive illegal immigration that we know is, because we hear from Democrat mayors of Chicago and New York, costing a fortune, that this is an unsustainable crisis? Why is the Biden administration rather obviously allowing it?
Right. So let's be clear about that. This is so pervasive, it has to be intentional.
Yeah.
And I'm not listening to anybody call me a conspiracy theorist. If they want, I'll take them here and walk them through that again. So really the only reason that I can think of that they want to have mass immigration is to destabilize our current system of government. Because when you have 7 million people get on these rolls, and they're all eligible for public assistance, here's something else for Pete's sakes, dude. I had to do a 6-hour round trip to go to community care up in Eau Claire from my house for neurology because I hurt my back in the military, right? 6-hour round trip. And it took me 3 weeks to get that appointment, 4 weeks maybe. Yeah. If something happens to you in one of these treatment facilities or in one of these processing facilities and they can't handle it on site, which they have very limited medical capacity, they drive you immediately to the hospital and you're treated for free. Yeah. And if you have a long-term condition such as diabetes, such as kidney failure where you have to have dialysis, you are released from custody, and the United States government pays for all of your dialysis treatment. And here's something that we're going to have a hearing on at the end of the month. These bills are processed through the Veterans Administration. So our VA resources we've confirmed this, are being used to treat and bill for illegal aliens that have entered into the country for everything from a cold to kidney dialysis. Jeez. And it's completely free across the board for these folks, and they know it.
And that's why they're coming. And this,
that's why they're coming.
I cannot escape, in addition to destabilizing the form of governance to institute a more socialistic style, that this is creating what Democrats have long talked about, with demographics being destiny, a permanent dependent class that keeps Democrats in power, turning Texas blue and so forth. Congressman, I could talk to you all day about this. We are up against the clock. I know you've got to catch a flight back to Washington, back to Wisconsin. Where are you headed?
I'm going back to D.C., getting prepared for our legislative calendar coming up. We've got a lot of work to do, get the government funded. For me personally, we've got to get the Farm Bill rolling. And so we have a lot of work to do. And I just want to say to folks, thank you very much for sending me to Washington, D.C. If you have any questions, go to vanorden.house.gov if you're one of my constituents. We'll lickety-quickety help you. Other than that, God bless you and your family.
You too, sir. God bless. Dan O'Donnell Show coming right back.
The Mark Belling Football Preview and Picking Contest is a podcast. Hosted every Thursday after 7:30 p.m., we will preview the big football games of the weekend and get point spread picks from me, Mike Burlett, Paul, and an audience contestant on the iHeart app or wherever you get your podcast. The Mark Belling Football Preview and Picking Contest podcast, the podcast for your football weekend.
Football information that's both engaging and useful. The Mark Belling Football Preview and Picking Contest podcast from News Talk 1130 WISN.
With the Art of Options collection at Penny Mustard, you are in charge.
Create a spectacular sofa that's perfectly you.
Choose your arm style.
Fabric.
Seat and cushion.
Add motorized reclining.
Or don't.
A customized creation that's a true work of art.
It's about time someone recognized my artistic flair.
The Art of Options, featuring the Elran sectional, starting at $135 a month with only 1 penny down and no interest till January of 2028 through January 7th at Penny Mustard.
Showrooms in Milwaukee and Chicago.
PennyMustard.com.
Hey, Dan O'Donnell here for my friends at Mander Collision and Glass. And you hear me talking all the time about how Mander is your best decision after a collision. But here's their customer, Kathleen, who writes, I took my car to Mander to get fixed after hitting a deer. Clayton was very prompt and professional and was just so on top of everything. He made me feel at ease and everything went smoothly. It looked beautiful when completed. I never expected it, but the interior was cleaned and the exterior was washed after I got the car back. Wow, am I impressed with the good work. Well done. That's just one of dozens and dozens of reviews that I hear about the incredible work that my friends at Mander Collision and Glass do. They really are your best decision after a collision. And with 5 locations to choose from, there's an option for you. Get your repair started at mandercollision.com.
Skip waiting for a table. Enjoy a homemade fish fry every Friday at Sendik's. Enjoy 3 pieces of beer-battered, wild-caught Northern Atlantic cod with your choice of Sendik's original potato pancakes or French fries. Your meal comes with all the fixins: fresh rye bread, creamy coleslaw, homemade applesauce, and Sendik's tartar sauce. Or choose from fried shrimp, walleye fillets, or baked cod. Every Friday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. at your neighborhood Sendik's. Sendik's Food Markets, your trusted local grocer.
Drive with confidence this winter and beyond in a new Chevrolet, Buick, GMC, or GM certified pre-owned model, and navigate today's car market comfortably and confidently at Holiday Automotive in Fond du Lac, where the New Year's sale is on. Connect with Holiday for impressive selection, enticing offers, get more for your trade, and experience the award-winning guest care of Wisconsin's #1 GMC dealer and Buick Dealer of the Year. Come be our guest and discover the stuff that delights, earns trust, and makes fans of drivers from all over. Enjoy the relaxed and welcoming attitude, transparent, simplified buying approach, and Team Holiday's passion for going the extra mile for the drivers we serve. Find yours and discover the difference during the New Year's sale at Holiday Chevrolet, Buick, and GMC in Fond du Lac, and at your fingertips at holidaygm.com. It's worth the trip.
Tune in every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. as Ellenbecker Investment Group highlights local people and organizations who are using their time and their talents to give back to make a difference in our community. Milwaukee's philanthropic community. Visit ellenbecker.com to learn more.
The following takes place in the home of a Capital Heating, Cooling, and Electric customer.
This furnace is in bad shape, Jason.
It's okay. That's what a Beyondification is for. Merle, hand me that wrench. Yep, we're going to recalibrate it back to like new condition.
I'm working on the deep clean right now.
Okay, Merle, jump on that comprehensive safety check.
How's that Beyondification coming, guys?
Going well, Laura. We'll have Miss Taylor's furnace purring away at maximum efficiency in no time.
Saving her money on energy bills every month.
And extending the life of her furnace.
That'll save her even more money.
Way beyond a standard tune-up.
And it's the best thing you can do to prepare your home.
Because winter is coming.
Okay, guys, we have another Beyondification right down the street when you're done.
Roger that. Merle, hand me the drill.
Call Capital Heating, Cooling, and Electric today to schedule your furnace Beyondification or schedule online at callcapitalcares.com.
Since 1964, we've changed your tires and so much more. Richland's Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richland's.
News that's factual, fair, and balanced. This is continuing coverage on News Talk 1130 WISN, Milwaukee.
Good morning, I'm Ted Allen.
More information has been released about the hours-long standoff and shootout Tuesday on Milwaukee's north side. A search warrant revealed that Milwaukee police responded to a 911 call from a woman who said the father of her kids choked and beat her and had a gun. Police said the 25-year-old man involved had a criminal history. Court documents say police got to the home to find the suspect, the mother, and 4 kids inside, with the suspect at the door with a rifle. While trying to calm the situation, the suspect fired at police, hitting a 38-year-old police officer identified as Dan Morrell in the leg. The suspect in the incident, who surrendered to police, hasn't yet been formally charged. Rulings from a Dane County judge could mean fewer absentee ballots being rejected. The Tuesday decision states that clerks can't reject ballots lacking certain witness information, such as zip codes or municipalities. The judge determined a witness address is complete if it provides enough information to reasonably discern where the witness may be communicated with. The judge also rejected arguments for a more restrictive definition, noting that state statutes don't explicitly define an address for absentee balloting. The House Oversight Committee will be getting a classified briefing next week on UFOs. That January 12th briefing comes after members asked for more details about UFOs. That includes any efforts to retrieve or reverse engineer crashed objects. Checking the WISN Sports Scoreboard, the Bucks are in action against the Spurs tonight in San Antonio. That's after a second straight loss to the Indiana Pacers last night. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Ted Allen on Wisconsin's most listened to radio station, News Talk 1130 WISN.
Dan O'Donnell here for my friends at Mander Collision and Glass. I talk all the time about how Mander is your best decision after a collision or for windshield repair. But here's customer Sarah, who writes, I went to Mander Glass in Muskego after getting a large crack in my windshield. They were able to get me in for an appointment quickly, and they were able to replace my windshield in just a few hours. The end result looks great. Very happy with the service and friendliness of the staff. Would recommend. Thanks so much for sharing that, Sarah. And in fact, I just had almost the exact same experience with Mander Glass myself. I got a small crack, which turned into a large crack, and the team at Mander took care of me with the professional and courteous service that you can only get from a family-owned business like Mander. Sarah and I know what you should too. Mander truly is your best decision after a collision.
Here's the latest forecast from the Fox 6 weather experts.
A cloudy start, but then some sunny breaks. High near 34 today. Southwest breeze around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Increasingly cloudy and 24 tonight. Patchy drizzle, maybe some freezing drizzle early on Friday, then a high near 38. I'm Fox 6 Chief Meteorologist Rob Haswell.
This report is sponsored by Mattress Firm. At Mattress Firm's once-a-year sale and clearance, you can save up to 60% on select mattresses. Plus, score a free adjustable base on qualifying purchases. Here's to better sleep in 2024. The right mattress matters, and Mattress Firm will find yours.
I'm Brett Ochtenhagen, owner of Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services and host of the Designer Yard Show. Another landscaping season is in the books, and what a great season it was. I started Seasonal Services 30 years ago, and I enjoy every day. Yes, some days are tough, but we've persevered because of many special people. The Christmas season is a great time to share our appreciation of others. So let me start by thanking our suppliers, clients, and the many builders who trust us with their valued clients. And to those of you who love gardening and nature as much as we do, thanks for listening to the Designer Yard Show every Saturday. Finally, thanks to the entire Seasonal Services team. You arrive early and you go home late. You give your all every day on the hottest days of summer and the coldest days of winter. You appreciate that hard work is rewarding, and for that I give you my admiration and thanks. So on behalf of all of us at Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services, best wishes for 2024.
Some things are better as a combo. Macaroni and cheese, Sherlock and Watson, peanut butter and sauerkraut. Hey, don't knock it until you've tried it. Here's another iconic combo. Heat and electricity, two of Mr. Howland's most popular home services, especially this time of the year. But if you think this duo can't be any more dynamic, check out Mr. Howland's cold weather combo. Purchase a new heating system in January and get a combo-licious discount on a whole house backup generator. Or electrify your life with a new professionally installed backup generator and get a combo-rific deal on a new furnace. Plus, you may qualify for 0% financing for up to 24 months. See Mr. Holland's Home Services for complete terms and conditions. Keep the lights burning and the heat churning with Mr. Holland's Cold Weather Combo. Call 866-992-1717 or visit MrHollandsHomeservices.com. If you want to give Old Man Winter a 1-2 punch, we can help.
There's no better time than the new year to help protect your identity and finances. LifeLock detects potential threats to your identity that you may miss on your own. If you do become a victim, a U.S.-based LifeLock restoration specialist will work to fix it. LifeLock is the New Year's resolution that's easy to keep. Save 25% off your first year. Call 1-800-LifeLock or go to LifeLock.com. Promo code CLAY to save 25%. That's LifeLock.com. Promo code CLAY.
Traveling for the holidays? Well, Pure Talk has you covered because they just added international roaming to over 30 countries. And here's the best part. There's no rate increase at all. Now, Pure Talk still saves the average family almost $1,000 a year with talk and text and data plans starting at just $20 a month.
Now, from your cell phone, just dial pound 250, say the keyword save now, make the switch, and do it now. You'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Pound 250, keyword save now, and start saving on your wireless right now.
Be sure to listen to the Annex Wealth Management Investment Show Saturday mornings at 11 and Sunday afternoons at 1 on News Talk 1130 WISN. Annex provides its expertise to arm listeners with the knowledge and tools to invest wisely. Annex Wealth Management. Know the difference.
WISN listeners are wise, enlightened, engaged, and have impeccably good taste. Thank you for making us Wisconsin's most listened to radio station. News Talk 1130 WISN.
Show classical conservatism, contemporary style. If you'd like to join us, 414-799-1130. That is the AdventNews.com talk and text line. You can reach us toll free, 1-800-838-9476. Email DOD@iHeartMedia.com, at Dan O'Donnell Show on Twitter X, Facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show as well. Whitewater Police Chief Daniel Meyer is begging the Biden administration for help assisting the city with an increase in migrants from Nicaragua and Venezuela. Since early 2022, between 800 and 1,000 illegal immigrants have arrived in Whitewater, a town with a population of about 15,000. As a municipal government, Meyer writes, our focus is not on legal status, but rather ensuring we are providing the resources expected of a municipality to all residents of the city. Unfortunately, we are finding it increasingly difficult to do that. Officers' workload, he continues, is strained due to an increase in unlicensed drivers, and the department's number of traffic stops is way down. None of this information, he writes, is shared as a means of denigrating or vilifying this group of people. We see great value in the increasing diversity that this group brings to our community. We simply need to ensure that we can continue to properly serve this group. Meyer is asking for additional funding, additional staff, including an immigrant liaison position, or creating a grant opportunity the city could apply for. Meyer's letter sent to 13 officials, including Vice President Kamala Harris, DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, Democratic Governor Tony Evers, Senators Ron Johnson and Tammy Baldwin, Representatives Brian Stile and Scott Fitzgerald, and state lawmakers who represent the area. It should be noted that Whitewater did vote for President Biden by a decent margin, in large measure because of all the college students there. Reaping, sowing, that sort of thing. I can tell you that my family goes to Whitewater Lake quite often in the summertime. And we noticed right around the same time, early 2022, the sheer volume of Hispanic people who were at the public beach. We took to calling it Fiesta Beach because we were like, wow, Whitewater, I had no idea there was this large a Hispanic community in Whitewater. It's just sort of something we talked about. Oh, okay, I guess there's a lot of people at the public beach. No idea. And then we actually started hearing stories, summer of 2023. Yeah, these are all migrants from, I had just heard Central America. I did not hear Venezuela, and that the city was struggling with all of this. It is interesting just how significant this problem is. Our lines are lighting up, Dave. Do people want to discuss this in Whitewater? No. Do they want to talk about the fact that we're not broadcasting at full power right now? Yes, they do. I knew it. I knew it before we get to what I think is some eye-opening statistics about the depth and breadth of the illegal immigration problem. We should point out, if you are listening to us over terrestrial radio on News Talk 1130 WISN, for reasons unknown, we are broadcasting at low power. AM radio stations need to power down at night to avoid signal interference, which is happening right now. Apparently, we are getting interference from some station in Detroit. I can tell you, you should probably, if you are having issues listening to us right now, if you're in the heart of Milwaukee, you're probably fine. Racine, not really. I've got a guy on the Dano cam saying he's listening in Waupun, probably going to have some issues. Go to iHeartRadio and listen to us live on either WISN or WIBA out of Madison. Or if you would like to listen to us commercial free, wait about, what would you say, Dave, 10 minutes after the show ends? Download the podcast. Like and subscribe the Dan O'Donnell Show podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to podcasts. And you can also, of course, watch us streaming live via the Dano Cam on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter X. We are, I should point out, following developing stories, multiple gunshot victims reported at a high school in Perry, Iowa. This is Perry High School in Perry, Iowa. I don't have the map up anymore. There was just a press conference. Very preliminary information. We don't know what type of shooting this was. Central Iowa, this is. Don't ask me where specifically in relationship to Dubuque or Iowa City. Oh, this is northwest of Des Moines. Okay, thank you, Producer Dave. But we are continuing to follow this developing story. All right, are we all up to date on signal issues, on potential mass shooting issues? Do we know if there are any deaths? Producer Dave, have we heard anything? All I heard was multiple victims. I have not heard anything. We will continue to follow this still developing story. Please don't think I'm making light of this or anything else. We just do not have a whole lot of information at this point. As I said last hour, sometimes it's difficult to wrap your arms around or get your head around large numbers. Eventually, they all sound like 11 billion. When you start talking about trillions and billions and even millions, it's just very difficult to kind of put that into perspective. which is why we're going to help you do that right now. December was the worst month in the history of this country for illegal immigration. There are about 300,000 migrants attempting to cross the border illegally in 31 days. That's about the population of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, all coming here in the span of a month. And it's been like this for years, not necessarily as bad as it's been in December, but very, very bad. The fiscal year 2023, which started in October of 2022 and runs until the end of September 2023, the Border Patrol reported 3.2 million migrant encounters. 3.2 million people, all attempting to cross the southern border. That's more than the population of 29 U.S. states. And it would also be like if the entire population of the nation of Bosnia and Herzegovina, all 3.2 million residents, all moved to the United States in 12 months. In the nearly 3 years since President Biden was inaugurated, there have been more than 8 million migrant encounters at the southern border. By way of comparison, the largest city in America, New York, has 8.3 million people. Now compare that with the 1.9 million migrant encounters during all 4 years of the Trump presidency. You'll see how bad the problem's gotten. So bad, in fact, that the worst year for illegal immigration under Trump, 2019, saw about 859,000 migrant encounters. That's a little more than half of the 1.6 million migrant encounters during the best year of the Biden presidency, 2021. But that was a fiscal year 2021. Remember, when you're talking fiscal years, nearly 3 months of it occurred during the Trump presidency. It's gotten far worse since then. Now, the Biden administration is claiming that deportations are up, and not every one of these 8 million illegal immigrants is still in the country, but a staggering number are. Latest annual report from Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, shows there are now 6.2 million illegal immigrants on the non-detained docket. In other words, they're living free and clear in the United States. They're not in detention. That's up from 3.7 million in fiscal year 2021 and 4.8 million in fiscal year 2022. Those 6.2 million people, all taken together, would be the second largest city in America. It's larger than the population of Los Angeles, Chicago, Dallas, Houston, San Francisco. They would be the 18th largest U.S. state. They constitute a population larger than Paraguay, Denmark, Singapore, Norway, Finland, Ireland, and New Zealand. And they're just the ones we know about. The Border Patrol also keeps unofficial records of what are known as gotaways, illegal immigrants who agents see but aren't able to apprehend or make contact with. They literally get away, escape into the United States, and live here illegally. There have been about 1.7 million gotaways since Biden took office. Add to those, to the 6.2 million illegals who are on the docket but not detained, there have been 7.9 million people in the country illegally under President Biden who have come in just the past couple of years. That's like if the entire population of Hong Kong moved to America and started draining our resources. A recent report from the House Committee on Homeland Security finds the cost of housing and various other social services for all these new arrivals could exceed $451 billion. That's more than the gross domestic product of 181 countries. The staggering cost of illegal immigration under Biden is befitting the size of the problem, which is so big that it's almost impossible to comprehend unless you put it in the proper perspective. We'll be right back.
Enhancing your home by replacing your windows or renovating your interior living space provides the opportunity to improve function and design style. Choosing the design build firm to guide you through the home improvement process sets the stage for success. If you're looking for a company that offers innovative design, quality craftsmanship, and exceptional service, choose Callan. Since 1986, Callan's experienced and professional team has been committed to listening to their clients' needs, respecting them and their home. Their expertly trained sales design consultants carefully consider the use of your space, function, design elements, and premium materials and features, including Infinity from Marvin, fiberglass replacement windows and doors. Call Callan today if you're considering a kitchen or bathroom remodel or replacing windows and doors. Callan, design, build, live. Call 414-529-5509. Visit callcallan.com or stop at its Muskego Design Center. Let your home transformation begin.
Tune in every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. as Ellen Becker Investment Group highlights local people and organizations who are using their time and their talents to give back to make a difference in our community. Milwaukee's philanthropic community. Visit ellenbecker.com to learn more.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
The free iHeartRadio app has over 100 commercial-free stations waiting for you to explore right now, like 70s Rock Ride, Pink Floyd, Eagles, Van Halen, Tom Petty, Zeppelin, and more. Try something new for 2024. Just open the free iHeartRadio app, search 70s Rock Ride, and listen now. iHeartRadio. Free never sounded so good.
iHeartRadio.
No radio handy?
No problem. Listen to WISN's live audio stream 24/7 via the web. Just click on the Listen Online tab at newstalk1130.com.
Very best way to think about how bad the illegal immigration crisis has become at America's southern border is to put it in terms, use analogies that people are able to understand. We have got nearly 8 million people just in the last couple of years to come into this country and start living here illegally. The population of New York is 8.3 million people. Think about everyone in Hong Kong. I know it's hard to think about. Think about how densely populated Hong Kong is. It's not even a one-to-one comparison. There's about 7.8 million people in Hong Kong. Imagine if every single one of them just abandoned Hong Kong and came to the United States. Now, we have had people like the police chief of Whitewater say, well, there are 1,000 people. We're a town of 15,000 permanent residents. Obviously, there's the university there, but 15,000 people live in Whitewater. the population has increased by 1,000. You can imagine how this has strained resources. City of New York. Did you hear the latest in the ongoing battle between Eric Adams, the mayor there, and Greg Abbott? Adams is expending resources to try to block all buses coming from Texas from entering New York City. So Abbott is simply sending the buses, filled with migrants, of course, to New Jersey, right next to a train station where the train goes right into New York City. No way to stop that. Sorry. You're a sanctuary city, are you not? Isn't this where years earlier you told illegal immigrants, and you told, more importantly, all of the right people who you wanted to impress with your virtuousness, that this was the place? We are not going to cooperate with federal authorities. Oh, as Michael Scott from The Office famously said, how the turntables. Just a couple of years later, when the system is overwhelmed, and yes, I've heard, I see some comments on the Dano camp. It is the Cloward-Piven strategy. We've talked about Cloward-Piven before. The idea is that you overwhelm the system. You intentionally overwhelm a social system. And then you say, well, we just need more resources. Because if we had more resources, well, then the system wouldn't be overwhelmed. You intentionally create a problem. The end goal, of course, is to dump so much government large S into the social welfare system that before you know it, you've got a socialist-style government. That's ultimately the goal. Named for a couple of social scientists married to each other in the 70s, 80s, somewhere like this. Cloward and Piven are about as influential in the modern neo-Marxist left as Saul Alinsky. Everybody's heard of Alinsky. You need to hear about Cloward and Piven as well. I believe the strategy has long been more nefarious. It's to import literally a new class of Democrat voters. Not necessarily those who are coming into this country illegally. But remember, we had the last mass amnesty signed in 1986 when Tip O'Neill and the Democrats, unfortunately, because I believe he's the greatest president of our lifetimes, one of the greatest of all time in Ronald Reagan, they did an end around with Reagan. They promised, okay, we're going to seal off the border. You make all of these illegal immigrants legal. You sign a blanket amnesty, and we'll enforce the border. They didn't. And now the spigot that was never turned off is just a gushing waterfall. And there's folks, I don't think you can get around the fact that this is by design. This is intentional. Look at the available evidence. So Arizona, because the Biden administration refused to put up border wall, which does work. Do you know how we know walls work? Because walls have worked throughout human civilization to keep people out. It wasn't the gate of Jericho that came tumbling down when they blew the trumpets. All right. Why was the wall there in the first place? Why was the wall of Jericho there? Arizona put up a wall of shipping containers, which I thought was a brilliant idea. You ever tried to climb a shipping container? How about two of them stacked on top of each other, or three? Biden administration sued to force Arizona to take down the shipping container wall. Texas, Greg Abbott. He has in the Rio Grande River these floating buoys with barbed wire or razor wire on top of them to keep people from crossing. Biden administration sues, forces them to take it down. Just recently, they put up razor wire fencing to keep people out. Biden administration is instructing Border Patrol agents to snip the razor wire, and there's video all over the internet of Border Patrol agents holding the razor wire open so that people can crawl through. Now, state of Texas is changing its legislation, totally Republican-controlled state, for now anyway, to make illegal immigration a state crime. Why would you want to do this? To avoid illegal immigration, a federal crime, to avoid the oversight of the Biden administration. So, in other words, you can prosecute people who enter Texas illegally under state law. Guess what the Biden administration just announced they're going to do? I'm not sure if they've actually filed the suit yet. They're suing to stop this. Why? Why? What possible reason could you want this many people in? Weirdly enough, this many people in right before an election year. But it's not necessarily the people who are coming in now. Because of the 14th Amendment's guarantee of what's known as birthright citizenship, people who come in and have children in the United States, those children are American citizens. They get to vote. Democrats are perfectly fine and have been since 1986 playing the long game with the basic understanding that the people who are coming in are going to grow up to be Democrats. Funny thing happened on the way to demographics being destiny, to parrot something Democrats were saying for pretty much 15 years from about 2000 to when Trump won. Hispanic voters are leaving the Democratic Party in droves. They're going to Donald Trump. As I have long said, if in 2024, the reason that Trump beats Biden, I'm assuming, of course, that, I know the Iowa caucuses are in a couple of days. Trump has got such a massive lead. I couldn't imagine him losing the Republican nomination. If Trump beats Biden, and the big reason is Hispanic voters flipping from Democrat to Republican, you will have Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer down there with trowels and bricks building a wall themselves. We're going to play Guess What's Racist. We're going to save forgotten history until tomorrow. We'll do that as well as How Bizarre. But we have a pair of tickets or a 4-pack of tickets. Yeah, I know it's to the boat show. Do we have 2 tickets or 4 tickets? Is it 2-pack, 4-pack, whatever pack of tickets to the boat show to give away? We play Guess What's Racist, and we will take caller number 14 right now on the AdventNews.com talk and text line, which is 414-799-1130, or you can call us toll free, 1-800-838-9476.
Conservative thought, not just talk. The Dan O'Donnell Show will be right back.
Meet Alan, who was diagnosed with sleep apnea.
I was what they call a mouth breather, and I would breathe at night with my mouth open.
And for about 8 years, Alan struggled with a CPAP machine. And then
I saw the Advent commercial, and I thought, well, what do you got to lose? This machine is miserable.
For most people, CPAP machines are miserable, but a simple breathing triangle solution from Advent can be life-changing.
And it really was, to me, it was amazing because I don't think I ever breathed that clear.
This is Dr. Madan Kiandula. After having one of Advent's simple breathing triangle procedures, people are amazed at how freely and clearly they can breathe.
I'm happy with the procedure. I'm very glad I did it. I wish I would have done it 20 years ago. I could have avoided that machine I had to have laying next to the bed with the hose wrapped around my head.
Schedule your appointment at AdventKnows.com because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. AdventKnows.com. Results may vary.
For more information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN, go to newstalk1130.com/rules.
The Milwaukee Admirals begin the new year hosting Colorado at Panther Arena both Friday at 7 and Saturday at 6. Friday's game features 2 money-saving ticket packages with the Ian's Pizza Student Night Deal. High school and college students get a ticket to the game and a slice of Ian's Pizza for just $13 with a valid student ID. Voucher redeemable at select Ian's locations. Fair Deal Friday includes an ads ticket, plus a ticket to the 2024 Wisconsin State Fair for only $22. Saturday at 6 is the final home game for 13 days and the first 4,500 fans score Admirals winter hats, courtesy of TSMGI. Admirals Hockey, presented by Landmark Credit Union. For ticket information, a list of upcoming promotions, including Salute to Motorsports and Landmark Credit Union Ice Scrapers on January 19th, and Badger Band, courtesy of Pegasus Partners on January 20th, and to buy tickets and stylish ads merchandise, please log on to MilwaukeeAdmirals.com or download the Admirals app. And remember, don't just buy tickets, invest in memories.
Grand & Go's crews help hundreds of people finally forget that tree every week. Grand & Go's state-of-the-art online stump calculator allows you to enter the size of your stumps, where they're located, and instantly receive an estimate. GrindandGoStumps.com.
Jay Weber here. In today's fast-paced world, getting to the bottom of a problem cannot happen fast enough, especially when it involves your physical health. There's no time for pain or weakness. This is where Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin's Ortho ASAP clinics come to the rescue. If you're experiencing any sort of bone, joint, or muscle problem, walk right in and be seen by an orthopedic specialist trained specifically to treat these conditions. Their website is orthowisconsin.com. The Ortho ASAP clinics are located at both the Pewaukee and Brookfield Square locations and are a lower cost, higher quality alternative to the traditional emergency room or urgent care. You'll be sure to be seen by an experienced orthopedic specialist who's surrounded by a staff that is trained to provide you with the best possible care. Also, their Ortho ASAP clinics are housed where they have on-site x-ray, physical therapy, and MRI capabilities to help with your care, all right there. You can learn more at orthowisconsin.com. orthowisconsin.com. Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference.
Hi, I'm Nick from Metro Milwaukee Homebuyer, and we'll buy your home as is in cash in as little as 1 week. You heard that right, as is in 1 week. We're a local family business that pays cash for properties as is. Just visit MetroMilwaukeeHomebuyer.com to learn more.
The following takes place in the home of a Capital Heating, Cooling, and Electric customer.
This furnace is in bad shape, Jason.
It's okay. That's what a beyondification is for. Merle, hand me that wrench. Yep, we're going to recalibrate it back to like new condition.
I'm working on the deep clean right now.
Okay, Merle, jump on that comprehensive safety check.
How's that beyondification coming, guys?
Going well, Laura. We'll have Miss Taylor's furnace purring away at maximum efficiency in no time.
Saving her money on energy bills every month.
And extending the life of her furnace.
That'll save her even more money.
Way beyond a standard tune-up.
And it's the best thing you can do to prepare your home.
Because winter is coming.
Okay, guys, we have another beyondification right down the street when you're done.
Roger that. Merle, hand me the drill.
Call Capital Heating, Cooling, and Electric today to schedule your furnace beyondification or schedule online at callcapitalcares.com.
I'm Dan Small. Join me for Outdoors Radio, 6 a.m. Saturday on News Talk 1130 WISN. Brought to you by the Milwaukee Boat Show, January 19 through 21 and 24 through 28 at State Fair Park. MilwaukeeBoatShow.com.
Skip waiting for a table. Enjoy a homemade fish fry every Friday at Sendix. Enjoy 3 pieces of beer-battered, wild-caught Northern Atlantic cod with your choice of Sendix original potato pancakes or French fries. Your meal comes with all the fixins: fresh rye bread, creamy coleslaw, homemade applesauce, and Sendix tartar sauce. Or choose from fried shrimp, walleye fillets, or baked cod. Every Friday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. at your neighborhood Sendix. Sendix Food Markets, your trusted local grocer.
BlueMountainExpress.com. We will improve your move.
Statewide.
I'm Sarah Kustok, NBA analyst for the Brooklyn Nets, and my podcast, NBA Pulse with Sarah Kustok, is back.
The Denver Nuggets can finally call themselves NBA champions.
Every Monday and Friday, I'll be joined by a top NBA writer to discuss the biggest stories in the league. And we'll do it in about 15 minutes, so you can stay up to date and keep it moving. Check out NBA Pulse with Sarah Kustok on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Opinion, emotion, passion. This is News Talk 1130 WISN.
Conservative thought, not just talk. We are, less than 2 weeks away, 11 days away from the Iowa caucuses. Nikki Haley apparently is already conceding defeat. She told a crowd in New Hampshire yesterday that you are going to need to correct Iowa. And then we bring it home in my state of South Carolina. That doesn't sound like a woman who thinks she's going to win the Iowa caucuses. And Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is apparently moving his entire campaign operation from Florida to Iowa as he tries to seize some momentum from a win in the Iowa caucuses. And I actually think it is entirely possible that DeSantis does eke out a win over Trump in Iowa. In fact, I would think it's more likely than people think. Do you know who won Iowa in 2016? On the Republican side, Ted Cruz. Very good, producer Dave. Do you remember who won Iowa on the Democrat side in 2020? It's a trick question. Nobody knows. Pete Buttigieg actually did win, but it took him forever to count the vote. Weird how Democrats just take forever to count votes, isn't it? Republicans can manage to do it very, very quickly. Democrats in, say, the New York City mayor's race, remember that debacle of a primary? We didn't know who won. It eventually was Eric Adams. We didn't know who won until long after the election was done. Iowa caucuses. Pete Buttigieg, who dropped out of the race right before Super Tuesday. My point is that Iowa is not especially predictive, and that you shouldn't take too much away one way or another from the Iowa caucuses, especially when a media is so invested, and I mean so invested, in Donald Trump being the Republican nominee for reasons that I have explained for, what would you say, Dave, a year? At least? More than a year since Trump lost in 2020. They have needed Donald Trump to be the Republican nominee. Their entire strategy. If all of a sudden, who would be the only person who could unseat Trump right now? If Jesus returned to earth and instead of, rapturing people or heralding the end of days, said, you know what? I'm running for president. Jesus is probably a bad example. Although, Democrats would still be sliming Jesus. Oh, yeah, turning water into wine. What kind of alcoholic does that? If, let's just say for the sake of arguments, Ron DeSantis is the nominee, Democrats would be completely lost. Do you know what all of their attacks would center around with DeSantis? Trump. They are completely unable to function if the candidate is not Trump or if the election is not about Trump. All right, let's step aside from that and play America's favorite game show.
Guess What's Racist?
And our contestant today comes from Pewaukee. Everybody, please welcome Rick. Rick, so glad to have you here playing Guess What's Racist.
Glad to be here.
And I assume you know how to play the game. We've been doing this for the better part of 2 years. But for those who don't, I am going to give Rick a list of 3 things. None of those 3 things are going to be racist on their face. All of them are going to be related. And one of them, and only one, is going to be declared horribly, unforgivably racist by a member of the media, an activist, a Democrat, somebody within the last couple of days. Rick is going to have to tell me which one that is. If he is able to do so, he will win a 4-pack of tickets to the 2024 Milwaukee Boat Show. Check out 300 different boats and the latest in boating technology. We have got a 4-pack of tickets to the show that runs Friday through Sunday, January 19th through the 21st, and Wednesday through Sunday, the 24th through the 28th. Well, at the show, register to win a pontoon dinner cruise on Big Cedar Lake, courtesy of our friends at Cedar Lake Sales. All right, we have got a special themed game for you. Rick, can you guess what the theme is this week? No? That is a very broad question. No? Come on. What's the big story having to do with racism? Rick? The resignation, of course, of Harvard President Claudine Gay. All questions, except for one, because I really want to get this one in because it's so hilarious, have to do with Claudine Gay's resignation. Are you ready to play, Rick?
Sure.
Guess what's racist? Caring about plagiarism, reporting on plagiarism, or punishing plagiarism?
All of the above.
Gotta pick one. Gotta pick one, Rick.
Number 1.
Caring about plagiarism. No, I'm sorry, it's reporting on plagiarism. Ibram X. Kendi, noted DEI author, racist mob, on Twitter following the resignation of Gay. Racist mobs won't stop until they topple all black people from positions of power and influence who are not reinforcing the structure of racism. What these racist mobs are doing should be obvious to any reporter who cares about truth or justice as opposed to conflict or clicks. So, if you report on the racist mobs, you are, in fact, racist. Reporting on plagiarism, racist. All right. 0 for 1, Rick, but I know you can do better. Guess what's racist? Caring about plagiarism, reporting on plagiarism, or punishing plagiarism?
Reporting on plagiarism.
Reporting on plagiarism? No, I'm sorry. It is actually punishing plagiarism. CNN's Bakari Sellers, immediately following Claudine Gay's resignation, says she was forced out of her job, i.e. punished, not because of plagiarism that came to light or the shockingly anti-Semitic comments she made during a testimony to Congress back in December, but because of racism. And no, she wasn't underqualified for the job. In fact, Sellers believes Claudine Gay was overqualified to be president of Harvard University. All right, you're 0 for 2, Rick. Final question. Guess what's racist? Caring about plagiarism, reporting on plagiarism, or punishing plagiarism?
Let me think. Punishing plagiarism.
No, I'm sorry. It's caring about plagiarism. New York Congressman Jamal Bowman took to social media Tuesday night, posting on X, saying anyone who highlighted Gay's plagiarism is a fascist who bullied a brilliant and historic black woman into resignation. This isn't about plagiarism or anti-Semitism. This is about racism and intimidation. 2024 will be a battle for truth, democracy, and our shared humanity. You might say Jamal Bowman is sounding the alarm about racism. Sounding the alarm. You get it? Is the alarm. All right, bonus question for you, Rick. I think you noticed a trend in our... It is, yes, anything, literally anything can be racist at any... This is a bonus question for you, because it is so insane. I had to include it in this week's game, even though it is not thematically related to Claudine Gay's resignation. Guess what's racist? 60% of health outcomes for black people, 70% of health outcomes for black people, or 80% of health outcomes for black people?
80%.
That is correct. This, according to Uche Blackstock, who was a guest on MSNBC the other night, and said that 20% of health outcomes, that we have to stop thinking of health as an individual choice, like working out, eating well, that sort, going to the doctor. You see, it's not. It is absolutely 100% not. Only 20%, she says, of health outcomes for black people are black people's responsibility. The other 80%, systemic racism.
We know that racism is a key driver of what we call the social determinants of health. And what we see in terms of health inequities and health disparities are the downstream outcomes of those. And so I think it's so important for us to connect the dots. The dots that need to be connected are that, individuals are only responsible for about 20% of what makes them healthy. The other 80% are these systemic factors.
80% of health outcomes are systemic factors, i.e. racism. Not too bad, Rick. You technically went 1 for 4, although in the Claudine Gay-themed game, you went 0 for 3. Still, it would be racist not to give you a prize. So congratulations, you have won a 4-pack of tickets to the Milwaukee Boat Show. Sir, thank you so much for playing Guess What's Racist. Hold on, we are going to get your information from producer Dave so he can get you those tickets. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to America's favorite game show, Guess What's Racist.
If you love football information and think you can profit from it, listen to the Mark Belling Football Preview and Picking Contest Thursdays in the 5 o'clock hour. Mark and Mike Merlette from American Sports Analysts look at pro and college games. Plus, one listener gets to pick a game against a spread or an over-under number for a chance to win $100.
The Mark Belling Football Preview and Picking Contest is presented by Holiday Automotive of Fond du Lac. 6 automotive brands all in one place. It's worth the trip. HolidayAutomotive.com.
Hey, Dan O'Donnell here for the Lynch family of dealerships. I've been a big proponent of Lynch for a while now. Here's why. They're literally a family dealership and have been since 1957. That's increasingly rare in the dealership world today, but the Lynch family employs 500 plus people who are all dedicated to taking care of you. They've got a wide selection of new and used vehicles, extended service department hours for early drop-offs and late pickups, and most importantly, they're proud supporters of our local communities and schools. They also stand behind what they sell with Lynch-certified used vehicles, including a 168-point inspection to determine eligibility, an unparalleled 90-day or 3,000-mile certified guarantee, and a 10-day 500-mile exchange policy. And when you pair this with the Lynch Protected program, they cover your paint, your windshield, and your tires, it's easy to see why you should consider Lynch. Check them out today at shoplynch.com.
We're going abroad for the first time in years, to Spain.
But we don't speak Spanish.
So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks. Babbel's conversational method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas? ¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish.
Estoy muy emocionado para ir a España contigo.
Aww. He just said, I'm very excited to go to Spain with you. Vamos a tener mucha diversión.
And that means we're going to have so much fun.
Sí. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
When you hire your local CertaPro painters, you get
the power of a cut above.
Decades of expertise to transform your home from so-so to virtuoso.
The power of neighborhood painters.
We live where you live and probably like the same pizza place you do. Put
the power of pro
to work for you today. Get your project started at CertaPro.com.
Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated.
Ever feel judged at the gym?
You don't know how to use the leg curl machine? Are you serious? Is this your first day alive? No, it's okay. I love helping people during their first day on Earth.
At Planet Fitness, get energy without the judgment and join the judgment-free zone. Never intimidating, always free fitness training and equipment for every workout. Get energized today during the Big Fitness Energy Sale for 24 cents down, $10 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal ends Friday, January 12th. See Home Club for details.
For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
SemperFiRoofing.com.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text STAY to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text STAY to 321-321. That's STAY to 321-321.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
Show summaries, podcasts, political tidbits, and the hottest photo galleries in radio. All available to you whenever you demand them at newstalk1130.com.
now former president of Harvard, wrote an op-ed in the New York Times yesterday. Yeah, I had some issues with misattribution. But the real issue was my racist critics trying to stop me from fighting bigotry at Harvard. How insane. We are expecting more documents to be released from and this is not the Epstein client list, his little black book. I do find it interesting that former Attorney General Bill Barr ordered the FBI to raid Epstein's townhouse in New York, and they seized just a treasure trove of stuff. You ever see any of that? No. It is remarkable how protected certain people are. And you know damn well, you know how I know Trump probably didn't do anything untoward with any of Jeffrey Epstein's girls? Because you know damn well they would have used it to destroy him way back in 2016. We played that audio of Amy Robach. I've got the video of her. She was caught on a hot mic. This was video originally posted by Project Veritas. And she's complaining that she had the Jeffrey Epstein story 3 years earlier. It's 2019. Well, 3 years earlier, Bill Clinton's wife just happened to be running for president. And ABC wouldn't allow her to air it. Why not? Weirdly enough, you have still got TV networks protecting the Clintons. Here is a reporter on Anderson Cooper 360 or 180 or 720, whatever his show is called. Yeah. Bill Clinton flew on the Lolita Express way more than he claimed and had a far closer relationship to Jeffrey Epstein than he's ever acknowledged, but none of this incriminates him.
There's also, so far in the documents you looked at, references to Bill Clinton. He is someone whose name has come up as someone who has flown on Epstein's private jets. Now, Giuffre is not accusing Clinton of any wrongdoing. He, in the past, has said, yes, he did fly on Epstein's planes, but he never went to his island in the Caribbean that he owned where a lot of this sexual abuse had taken place. So nothing yet that is kind of a blockbuster or that changes the dynamic or the history of what we know about Epstein, but there's still more to come.
Yes, you see, he didn't do anything wrong. Sure, his name is all over this. There's no indication he did anything wrong. Now, compare this with how the Trump name appearing once when they made an unscheduled landing in Atlantic City and Epstein goes, hey, we should probably call my boy Trump. Compare this to how this was handled by another CNN reporter on the Caitlin Collins show.
Now we have a reference here to Caitlin, to Donald Trump. This is also coming from a deposition of Johanna Schoberg. She was an employee of Jeffrey Epstein. And according to her deposition, which was released, that she said that she recalled a time she was with Jeffrey Epstein on one of his planes, and the pilots had said that he needed to land in Atlantic City. And then she says that Jeffrey said, great, we'll call up Trump and we'll go to, and then she says she doesn't remember the name of the casino in Atlantic City, but we'll go to the casino. She also then says that in her deposition, there was a question about whether she had any inappropriate contact or relationship with Trump. And she says that she never gave a massage to Trump. So here we're seeing Donald Trump's name now.
You see, Donald Trump, he is associated. That we got to tie Trump to this. Bill Clinton, yeah, his name's all over this. We know he was very good friends with Epstein. He flew on the plane way more often than he admitted. But, you know, he didn't do anything untoward. This is Bill Clinton we're talking about. He has a pristine relationship, a pristine reputation in his dealings with women. Folks, if you have the sneaking suspicion that we're not getting the whole story, nor will we ever get the whole story with Jeffrey Epstein, you're right. We never, ever will. Remember the mantra in 2007, 2008 with the banking crisis, Great Recession, and some financial firms were too big to fail. I think we're seeing in real time the people in American and global society who are too big to jail. That's it for the Dan O'Donnell Show today. We're back tomorrow. Hope everyone gets out there and enjoys the day. Peace.